like Auburn's 2024 schedule is shaping up to be quite the challenge. The Tigers will face off against the likes of Georgia, Texas A&M, and SEC newcomer Oklahoma. In fact, according to Bill Connolly's SP Plus rankings, Auburn's schedule is ranked the 14th toughest in the country. Now, playing a top 15 ranked schedule may seem like a tough task, but Auburn's 2024 slate is good for only 7th hardest in the SEC. Damn, who's ranked ahead of the Tigers? Florida has the most ridiculous schedule I've ever seen with 11 Power 5 opponents. You heard that right, 11. After that, Mississippi State comes in at 4th, followed by Oklahoma with the 7th, Vandy with the 9th, Texas at 10, South Carolina at 11, and then Auburn at 14th. Now, out of conference, the Tigers will face Cal again, but this time on the Plains. We'll see if Jaden Knott has any guarantees for Auburn this go-round.
Not letting it get to our head and getting too big-headed after we do get the dub.
Notably, LSU, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State fall off of Auburn's schedule. They'll be replaced by Mizzou, Kentucky, and SEC newcomer Oklahoma. Auburn rounds out its schedule with Alabama A&M and ULM, which should be gimmies. But hey, New Mexico State was supposed to be a gimme in 2023, so we'll see what happens. Now, if this schedule feels a little weird to you, it's because it is. 1991 was the last time Auburn didn't have LSU on its schedule. 1991. 1989 is the last time they didn't play Ole Miss. And you have to go all the way back to 1951 to find the last time that Auburn and Mississippi State weren't on each other's schedules. So let's review. That's a total of 8 games at home and 4 games on the road for Auburn in 2024. 3 of Auburn's 4 home games will be played against teams that finished in the top 10 of the 2023 standings. Part of the major problem for Auburn with this schedule is Alabama and Georgia are both on the road this coming year. Now, these games used to be 1 at home, 1 away, with both being played in November. A scheduling shift saw Georgia fall from their November slot to a October game. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it is, without a doubt, much more manageable than playing both at the end of the schedule in November. Now, I've already mentioned that Auburn plays Oklahoma this year. These teams have played twice, and the last 2 times didn't go so well. Both were in the Sugar Bowl, and both were losses by Auburn. Oklahoma has beat Auburn by a combined score of 75-41 in the previous 2 matchups. Maybe a home field advantage will yield better results for Auburn this go-round. So what's the best case scenario for Auburn in 2024, and who's their toughest opponent? I've got their toughest opponent as Georgia. And I'm seeing a ceiling of 7-5 and a floor of 6-6. No in between. Let me know in the comments after the video, what's your floor and what's your ceiling for Auburn in 2024, and who's their toughest opponent? Let's close talking about incoming freshman Walker White. And the reason why I want to talk about Walker specifically is that he's in a situation similar to what you were in. Highly touted, top 100 player coming in. Bo was a highly touted quarterback. So Walker isn't as highly rated as Bo was. But in terms of Hugh Freeze's first full recruiting cycle, he's going to be looked at as a guy that they're going to want to do what you did. Come in here, take the reins, and be that guy from high school that takes this program to the next level. What advice do you have for Walker, maybe in his first year at Auburn, where he's going to be competing against guys who have a lot more experience than him? And there may be a feeling, even from a staff perspective, that, look, your time will come, you just wait your turn, right? Does he go after it now, or does he wait his turn? Like, how does he look at this in year one?
You're a competitor, right?
Yeah.
So day one when I get here, I'm competing to play. I make the decision to be the coach's decision, but I want to make it as hard as possible for you not to play me. When I came in, it was a little different because when I came in, Ben Leard was already here.
True.
And Ben Leard was a respected starter. and everything. So Ben kind of took me under his wings and said, hey, young fella, I'm going to show you the ropes and everything because I know you're going to have an opportunity to do some great things here. So I learned a lot from Ben Lear because how he carried himself, how he was a leader on that football team that led us to the SEC championship against Florida that year. And Ben was a guy that, you know, I could learn from. So it was no reason for me to play that year. We already had a guy that was a full starter that earned the right to be that starter. So for me, I competed against our defense. Ronnie, all us, man, we used to give our defense trouble.
You're talking about practice,
yeah, practice. Yeah, we used to give them trouble. You know, all the senior vets and everything. And, like, we made it our business to try to dominate them in practice if we could. And it made us better because we didn't know it was just preparing us down the road. But you don't ever want to lose your competitiveness. And I think that when Walker comes in here, even Hank, you know, who came in sparingly in the bowl game, this position is not set in stone. You know, like, no disrespect, like, Thorne is still working and trying to prove himself.
Sure.
And so it is a real open competition going to the spring. But if you can come in now in January. When I came in back in the day, I came in June. So the chances of me starting was very, very slim regardless because you coming in June, but then you already have a proven vet in front of you. There was no reason to rush my progress.
Right.
But in their situation, they're here in January. So I get 3 to 4 months to learn and then go out there in the spring and practice 15 times to get better.
Yeah.
And then I have a whole summer to look back at what I learned from the spring to prepare me for a fall camp. And then the fall camp, we're a couple weeks from the game coming up. So you're as good as your opportunity. So with the freshman receivers that this group has coming in, with the running backs that they have, and, you know, the offensive line guys you have coming back, like, you can play a young guy if you have to, you know, but it all comes down to, it's more than just the ball coming out of your hand. It's more than just, you know, standing in front of the camera and talking. Quarterbacking is all about relationship with my teammates, get my teammates to believe in me, but then also being there for my teammates even when their back is against the wall. And I ain't talking about just offense. I'm talking about offense, defense, special teams. A quarterback should know every person on the roster. He should communicate with every person on the roster. That's being a quarterback because you are the leader and you want those guys to believe in you, but you got to put your arm around them sometimes. You got to build up your teammates. And sometimes that means taking the L publicly, even if you know it wasn't your fault. Your teammate gonna see that. Fans may get on to you and say, oh man, what are you doing? You messed this up. They don't know that he ran the wrong route. They don't know if he made a mistake. They don't know if I made the wrong read. They don't know who made the wrong read or who made it.
That's true.
But quarterbacks, you have to take the L for your teammates to get them to follow you and believe in you. Because why? They see what you did for them publicly, man, they're going to ball out for you on the football field.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Jason, before we get out of here, I do have a couple more questions. You played with some great guys, and our listeners would be remiss if they'd be sad if I didn't ask the question. Who's the bigger diva? Was it Cadillac or was it Ronnie? Both those guys thought they were pretty good at football.
Man, divas. I'm gonna be honest with you. It was our cornerbacks.
Oh, Carlos
and Rose Green.
I knew Rose Green
because
I knew Rose Green.
It came to the whole dress code thing. Who can outdress who? Rose Green from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Miami,
you know,
boy.
The chain, the gold, you know, the everything. Carlos from Augusta, Georgia, and it's always the DBs that think they're the fastest, and think they're the most athletic. You know, they talk the most.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, Ronnie and Cadillac didn't do a whole lot of talking. Now in the game, they'll give you a little business and say something to you and everything. But the DBs talk more than anybody. It was always trash talking in practice. Like Courtney loved to go against Carlos and one on.
Courtney was the biggest trash talker I think I've ever known.
Yeah, Courtney was the Chris Tucker here. That's his lookalike too.
I'm sending this clip to him.
That was the Chris Tucker here on this team.
For sure.
Like Courtney talked a lot. You know, we had guys that that was just, man, we competed, man.
Yeah.
We pushed each other in practice. We just win on Saturdays in Jordan Hare just because we just showed up and played. It's what we did during the week. We pushed each other. We practiced hard, and you win your games in the week and how you prepare, your preparation.
Talk about preparation for a second, and this is going to be kind of like our building rapport after hours, right? Like, two-a-days isn't what it used to be. Okay, let me take you back here for a second, right? At a point during two-a-days, we would go down to the intramural fields. They would line up. It'd be offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, running backs, and you. You're the only one that was allowed. They could hit you, or they could hit everybody else. And every two-a-days, Tuberville, we're going to run this drill till somebody pass out or throw up, and a fight would break out. And it was heated. It was literally just hit somebody.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally illegal to do that now. Like, you can't, the hours are limited. Like, how do you make men into boys today when you can't put them through some of the things that you went through when you were a player?
Yeah, it's tough because there's so many. Practice is limited.
It's very limited.
It's limited. There's no two-a-days. You have the one-a-days, and then you have the walk-through days and everything, which is, they're trying to do that for longevity, health-wise. On the
How
body.
important was that, do you think, maybe to the toughness
it's hard
of that team?
if you can't assimilate something in practice, then it's hard to assimilate it in the game until you play 4 or 5 games.
Sure.
That's why I always say there's no reason to be ranking teams in the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah.
After the first 4 games of the season is when the rankings should come out, because now you have enough footage to see what guys are doing and everything. And because that first game, man, that's really like your first real live contact. Like, you would try to simulate as much as you can in practice, but you trying to do what now? Keep your guys healthy.
Yeah.
You don't get someone hurt, but man, back when we played, man, no one was worried about getting hurt. It was about once you got in the locker room, who had the upper hand and noise talking, because who got outdid on the practice field. It's just like offense versus defense. We're in 2004 in the season.
Yeah.
And we would have goal line live drills.
Yeah, huh?
Ones versus ones. And we're in the middle of the season. And guess what? No one got hurt.
Nobody got hurt. Yeah.
But it helped us in game day because mentally we pushed each other. So we went against our defense. We were going to face a defense like our defense. When they went against our offense, they wasn't going to face an offense like our offense.
Yeah.
So in order for us to prepare, sometimes it was going against each other. Yes, we had scout team and all that, but most of the time when we did 7-on-7, sometimes we would say, okay, we're doing short yardage and red zone 7-on-7, but we're gonna do live plays. What I mean by that is one defense versus one offense.
Yeah.
And because you want to see read and
best
react.
on best.
Yeah, read and react. I don't want you looking at no card all the time and just thinking they're gonna do what's on the card all the time. Guess what? Coaches, they coach. They know how to game plan. They're gonna do something different. But if you know how to read and react, knowing your keys. So we did that so the coaches could know if we knew what we was doing and knew our keys, and not just basing it off because we know what that defense is supposed to do because they looked at the card. But we have to read and react and respond.
Joining me now is host of Crain Company, Jake Crain, to talk a little bit about Auburn football. Jake, I appreciate you joining me. Let's jump right in. Walker White has joined Auburn football this spring. He's an early enrollee. What should be his attitude about the starting job this year? Should he wait his turn and accept that message, or is he telling Hugh Freeze, I think I can run this thing this year?
Well, look, I mean, I think one of the reasons Walker White's gotten to the point that he's at is because he's very confident in his abilities. He's a guy that's been a leader for a while. He knows how to win. I mean, I think his mindset's probably going to be the same as his whole life going into something, is I feel like I can be the best at it. I'm going to go in and do everything I possibly can and see where the chips fall. If the chips fall where I'm the starter, great. That's what I want. But if I'm not the starter, right, and I know today's age is a little bit different, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to understand I'm not going to freak out. I'm not going to run away. And I don't think Walker is that type of guy. I think he's got an unbelievable head on his shoulders. I think he realizes that I can go in here and try and win the job, but I can also help the team in other ways. But you want that young guy to want to go in and be the starter, especially at the quarterback position. That's going to be the guy you brought him in to be the leader of your team at the end of the day. So I know he'll come in off the bat and work. He's got a good core around him to grow with. But the one thing, if you watch Walker in his interviews and even how he handles himself on the field, is that he seems very mature for his age. Not only is he big in stature, but I think his maturity is pretty big as well. And I think that's one of the most attractive things about his game to Hugh Freeze. And now, Mike, we got to remember the rules are different. You can play in a lot of games and still redshirt this year. You know, when Jason Campbell was playing, you went out there and took a snap, and a couple snaps, it's a wrap. Like, you're done. You're done. So you're able to get on the job training. But no, I expect Walker to come in with a mindset of, hey, I want to win it. I'm going to prepare to win it. Even if I don't win it, I'm going to prepare like I won it. And if I don't, I'm going to be able to bide my time. But I mean, I think, Mike, there's going to be packages for him early, especially with his ability to run the ball.
How much did he watch that bowl game, Jake, and think, look, Payton Thorne didn't have a great game? I think we can both agree Payton Thorne didn't have a great game. And in some ways, Hugh Freeze had to be like, damn, like I just went out days before and put my weight behind Payton Thorne for 2024, and then the third string quarterback comes in and outplays first and second. Like, if you're Walker White, you saw that and you're thinking what right now? Like, I can definitely beat these two guys, especially if they don't bring a quarterback in, right?
Yeah, well, look, I think regardless, he was going to come in with that mindset, but I think we'd be naive to not sit here and say, if I'm Walker White watching that bowl game, the smell of opportunity kept increasing per play. And I mean, Mike, I came on your show all year talking about, Payton Thorne. Can you really trust him? I still don't trust him yet. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we see, to bring up another J-Cam, reference, a Jason Campbell evolution as an older guy, kind of like we saw Jason his senior year, who was, damn near perfect, Mike. It was so much fun to watch him play. Heck, I still remember him running for a touchdown against Syracuse in the Carrier Dome, breaking a big one too, as a young guy. But no, look, you watch Payton Thorne, he puts the ball in harm's way. The thing I think that turns a lot of people off about Payton Thorne, and what I think is a strength of Walker White, is presence, is that swagger, that demeanor of, when I step on the field, I am the baddest dude out here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who we are playing, if it's Maryland, if it's Georgia, if it's Heaven's Army. I step out on the field and I'm the baddest dude out here. And that elevates everybody else. That brings in more guys around you who want to get behind it and go play better than what they really are. And we haven't seen that with Payton Thorne. So, yeah, watching that game, I'm sure Walker White at some point was upset that Auburn was losing. But also deep down, you're kind of licking your chops saying, if I got to go in and resurrect this thing, I'll be the Phoenix for sure.
Let's close this out talking about this from Hugh Freeze's perspective. True freshmen don't do well in the SEC generally. You have to be a dynamic talent. We never really even saw Saban start a true freshman from game one during his time at Alabama. Obviously, he's just retired. So we'll see what his replacement will do at that position. But, what has to be the direction here, right? Like, Walker White is talented. He's got a great arm. He might be the best pure passer in the room as soon as he gets there, right? Like, like I said, you talked about whether you can trust Payton Thorne or not. Hank Brown showed off some flashes of potential, but at the end of the day, what is it here for Walker White in 2024? Does Hugh Freeze roll the dice if he truly outplays these other guys in spring practice and in camp? Can he take that chance? Can he take a chance?
Well, I don't think anything's set in stone right now. And best case scenario is Payton Thorne figures it out. The offense blossoms as the young guys learn. You build depth in that room, and then the next guy takes over. Maybe Walker White, maybe Hank Brown. Who knows with the transfer portal nowadays? If we're going to be honest, it's never over till it's over. But that would be the perfect scenario. A lot of times the perfect scenario doesn't work out, and Hugh Freeze is going to play the best player. Now, in an optimum situation, you don't want a true freshman starting at quarterback, but if there's anything that we've seen or any way that we've seen the game evolve, it's that young guys are playing even quicker, not only in college football, but in the NFL. But if you're expecting to take a true freshman to Alabama, to Georgia, and play that schedule that Auburn's going to play, and there not be some bumps along the way and some what I call hard learning, then there's some beachfront property in Kansas I can sell you for a price that'll blow your mind. But yeah, I think if he goes in there, and it's not just about making the plays, it's not just about making the reads, it's about how you affect your teammates. I think that has to do with as much as anything in this race, because I think it's truly going to be a race, as opposed to just the physical aspect. Obviously, you have to have the physical aspect, but I think one of Walker's strengths is that physically he looks like a junior in the SEC. Like he's big. He's only going to get bigger. He's only going to get stronger. He's only going to get more flexible. But yeah, it's got to be all encompassing, and we'll see how the chips fall. I think Hugh Freeze is going to throw him out there and say, let the big dog eat.
Yeah, I think the seat has gotten hotter for Hugh Freeze in year 2, given how year 1 went. There'll be some pressure on him to make sure that they're moving that thing the right direction. Jake Crain, host of Crain Co. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Guys, if you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always,